Again, already very popular here. Curtis Summit has not fought in the United States since 1991 in January, so you can see he's kind of acclimated himself well here to Paris. You know, Curtis is one of those fighters that has had so many good fights. For example, he, of course, lost to Aaron Davis right after Davis had knocked out Mark Breland. He came on, Albert, and knocked out Pedroza in Atlantic City in 10 rounds. And all of a sudden, people said, I don't know if I'm going to put my fighter in with Curtis Summit. And thus, he's had problems getting some fights.
That's really been one of Curtis's major problems in his career. I was at the Aaron Davis fight, and I can promise you, Davis took it as a non-title 10-rounder, and the fight was very close. I had myself, Curtis, winning the fight, as did a lot of people there that were Davis fans going into the fight. And he came over here to France because after knocking out Angels Pedroza, another world-rated welterweight, he really kind of took himself out of the opponent category, and it's hard for him to get work.
Well, 31 years of age is Curtis Summit. I had him listed at 29. He said, I can't tell a story. I'm 31, and I'm over here enjoying myself in Paris, and hopefully to enjoy myself with a win tonight. Carl Daniels, as you take a good look at him, only 21 years of age. You see a most impressive record before the loss to Norris. 26-1. Again, he is managed by the legendary Cobra Donald Curry. And again, Paul Reyes, is in his corner here tonight in Paris. In the red is Summit, in the white is Daniels. They're scheduled to fight 10, and many feel it may very well go the distance tonight with these two battlers.
I'm telling you something, I'm expecting a fiercely fought struggle here between these two fighters. Carl's established himself as a world-rated fighter in his fight with Terry Norris, and Curtis Summit he's looking to make a name for himself here tonight. And
Sam Smith along with Bob Spagnola. Bob, the only question I think a lot of people have with Carl Daniels, how much mentally did that take it out of him in losing to Norris? Is he mentally prepared? Physically, he looks okay.
Yeah. Well, he's boxing out of the southpaw stance right now with Curtis. They're trying to confuse him. But it's kind of early in the fight to try a tactic like that.
Summit's record, by the way, 18-5-1. He's got 10 knockouts. He weighed in at 67 kilos, 148 compared to 68 kilos, about 150 for, again, Carl Daniels at their weigh-in this morning. Summit's last fight over David Lettermore of the United States in February right here at this Winter Circus. Prior to that, he won an impressive 8-rounder over a fellow Frenchman now that he calls himself. He still is from the U.S.
That's it, baby. Go, you Carl. Make him look like a fool.
By the way, one of the English-speaking people you'll be hearing in the background in this smallish arena, but a very successful place to hold this venue, is Malcolm Garrett, who also works in the corner tonight with Carl Daniels.
Summit working to the body nicely. Carl working behind that right jab.
Don't wait, Carl. Don't wait. That's it. Be
First round, pretty much as expected. Both fighters trying to load up with some pretty good punches, and you see Summit setting on some there.
Hey, snuck in a nice right-hand counter. Ooh, a little bit of a low blow there.
Okay, Carl, get busy now. Let's
Warning to Summit, they slap gloves.
Busy. Let's go. Step. Get busy with it. Get busy.
Good combination by Carl. Good quick hands by Carl Daniels.
Get right there, Carl. Get right there.
Warning to keep the punches up again for Curtis Summit. That's the second time he's been warned in the first round. And his subsequent foul, and of course a point deduction, and the way this fight could go tonight, any deduction of points could be a major, major consequence.
Curtis getting over his feet a little bit there.
Closing seconds, round one, junior middleweight set for 10 in Paris. Wait, Summit in the red and Carl Daniels in the white, both from the US of A, even though Summit trades here in Paris. And let me bring up a point here. Sam Smith along with Bob Spagnola, is that Summit, who has been training under Reggie Ford, who unfortunately had to go back to the States to work with some other people there, has virtually been training himself, and that's got to be a disastrous thing for a fighter to try to do, isn't it, Bob?
Yeah, it's a tough road to go, but I promise Curtis has had adversity throughout his career. Slipped a little bit there, nothing landed. He's very strong mentally. He's been with different managers and trainers throughout his career, probably 3 or 4 different groups, and he really seems comfortable working with the people over here.
He made no secret of it, and I know that he talked to you as well, being a boxing manager from Houston, Texas, that if he should look good tonight, would someone such as yourself or someone else, certainly that are looking into managing fighters, would they be interested in managing this young man? So he is looking, even though at the age of 31, he feels like his career is not over. And the way he's fighting right now, he may be right.
No, I think he's a very young 31, and the fact is I think these people over here are doing an excellent job with him, and he's comfortable with them, even though there is somewhat of a language barrier. He's been over here for 6 months, and he likes it.
He has been sparring with former WBA junior middleweight champion Gilbert Dallé, who lost the title to Vinny Pazienza. So you don't get much better than that, as Dallé, who, by the way, works the color commentary on one of the French-speaking telecasts of this fight tonight from the Winter Circus in Paris. Boy, Daniels has really been busy tonight, Bob.
Carl looks excellent, and he's not in there with any easy fight. A little bit of a clash of heads there. Carl's eyes welling up a little bit.
You know, I was just going to make mention of that. That was a problem he really suffered through against Terry Norris. Started swelling in about the 3rd round, and now that left eye is starting to puff again.
Yeah, Carl's doing a good job of pivoting out, and Curtis is still looking for him, but Curtis, I think, is looking to do some damage in the long haul here.
Let me elaborate a little bit more on some comments made on the amateur career of Carl Daniels. He did indeed win the National Golden Glove Championship, the Junior World Championship, the National ABF, was a gold medalist in the U.S. against Hungary. Intercountry battle, was the silver medalist of the Olympic trials in 1988, and as Bob pointed out, an alternate to the Olympic team. 163-7 as an amateur. Quite a career for Carl Daniels, and now has lost only one as a pro. He is in the white against Summit.
And the amazing thing about him is he's fashioning this now against world-rated junior middleweights, as opposed to being with smaller, quicker fighters in the amateur ranks. He's really working that hook to the body well, Carl Daniels is.
Well, round 2, carbon copy of the first one. It was good, so was the second. This 3rd of the junior middleweights, Carl Daniels on the left, Curtis Summit, an American now fighting out of Paris and training here for the last 7 or 8 months. Last fight in January of '91 in the United States, has fought twice here in France.
What Carl has done successfully here is slowed down the pace and turned this into a chess match, which
I think if Curtis Summit wants to do a little jiding of Carl Daniels, I think Carl will be happy to oblige and walk right in and landed some pretty good punches. By the way, Curtis Summit had a rather illustrious amateur career, not the number of wins certainly, with 36, but lost only 2. Was an All-Army champion, also the Colorado State Golden Gloves champion, and was a national semifinalist in the amateurs. So both of these fighters come from some very good amateur stock.
Carl's hand speed's been the difference in this fight thus far.
I think the one question I asked you, Bob, early on in the fight about the mental approach to this for Carl Daniels, I think he's pretty well answered that question. He's in this fight tonight.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, he's a double tough kid, Carl Daniels is, and he's not going to let anybody intimidate him.
It's coming down to a weight that he feels somewhat comfortable in now. Of course, in this 150, he's 68 kilos.
There has been some discussion from both of these camps that I know that Curtis has fought as a welterweight quite a bit during his career, but really they feel like Carl should get down to that weight. Things are heating up here, Sam. But I think Carl's best fight is on the outside, not on the inside with Summit, who's very tough and durable and a hard puncher.
You know, we watched him in the gym the other day, really working the heavy bag, really setting down on punches. But I tell you, Carl, that you pointed out inside, doing a job, and then he's able to jump back outside and throw some more punches outside.
There goes the mouthpiece.
They do not replace it here in Paris.
They're talking to each other a little bit in there.
They're talking some trash now. Even though if I read lips, he said, "Good shot, Curtis." So apparently it was not trash that would infuriate.
A lot of mutual respect in there right now. I think I see some blood coming out of Carl's mouth.
Yeah, he got hit right after he dropped the mouthpiece. All he has to last is about 15 more seconds to end this round, though. Malcolm Garrett screaming for Carl Daniels to finish the round so he can possibly steal one here on a card. And he's going to oblige.
Good combination at the end there.
Oh, yeah, really went to work. Summit tries to steal it back, and there's the bell to end round 3. It's a beautiful place, the Winter's Circus here in Paris. Summit in the red, Carl Daniels in the white. They bumped heads, and Daniels reacted more vociferous than that of Summit. Both are Americans fighting in Paris tonight.
Carl again starting behind a good right jab. I think the southpaw stances confuse Summit early in the fight, but I think he's over that. He's experienced enough fighter to deal with it.
I know you asked internationally known promoter Cedric Kushner about the switching of Carl Daniels, and Cedric indicated he will switch, but he likes to stay in the southpaw. He likes right where he is right there.
Good counter shot by Daniels.
Daniels being knocked off balance with a push and then was swinging at the same time.
Summit's the kind of fighter that just wears you down. He roughs you up. He's incredible. Got great body strength.
Bob, all I've heard this week in talking about Curtis Summit, past and certainly present, is that he's very hard to predict. Have you seen that much of a style change from Curtis Summit, or what's so hard for a fighter to pull out on Summit here?
Well, I don't know. Whenever I've seen Curtis Summit, he's always been a guy that came to fight. And, you know, if you look at his record, you can see that although he claimed several hometowns, he's generally never fought in any of them. So he's been a road warrior.
We mentioned Paul Reyes, the trainer now of Carl Daniel, said that he feels like he is training better, at least concentrating and focusing better. He feels like he counterpunches too much. He wants to get him off first a little better. We've seen a little more of that here in this fight tonight. And he's starting to raise his left elbow when he starts to throw a punch as a southpaw. That is a disaster, and he's losing some power. So kind of watch it now as we're in the 4th round. Watch his Daniels in the white. When he starts to throw the left hand, see if he raises the left elbow rather than throw it a little straighter, which he's losing some power. They're working on that on him.
Yeah, Paul Reyes is an excellent trainer, and even though Don Curry's not here, I can promise you Don knows, because Paul was his trainer, that he can certainly get the job done in a world-class situation.
You know, to kind of reinforce your comment earlier about Daniels being more comfortable at the welterweight, Paul Reyes said a serious Carl Daniels could, I don't think he used the word easy, but he said he could certainly be a strong welterweight contender to win the title.
Carl's legs are betraying him a little bit here.
You see the time of round 4. They're set to go 10 tonight in this junior middleweight fight from Paris. Sam Smith along with Bob Spagnola. We've enjoyed another solid round of boxing. Here's an bell is sounded to start the round, but quickly stopped by the referee to get some Vaseline off the face of Carl Daniels. Malcolm Garrett obliges, and we are off and running with the 5th round of the scheduled 10-rounders. Summit against Daniels. You know, it's been, Bob, I think a fight that has ebbed and flowed. I think both of these fighters have had their high moments so far through the first 4 rounds.
They both made their points, from Curtis knocking out Carl's mouthpiece to Carl landing 6 and 7 punch combinations.
We will watch it closely. Bob had pointed out at the end of the last rounds, the legs of Carl Daniels a little bit wobbly on a couple of occasions. So we'll watch that, but he's very much up on his toes right now, landing some combinations and trying to do what Paul Reyes wanted him to do, and that, of course, is to punch and move.
And Curtis is trying to work the body, trying to work on Daniels' conditioning, but he still hasn't been successful at all in getting his foot outside that left lead of Carl Daniels, or his left foot outside of the right lead of Carl Daniels.
You know, one thing that Curtis Summit had prided himself on, what his movement early on in his career. This fight, he has been a straight-ahead target. For Daniels, has had very little lateral movement, except in that case, as you see in defense. Daniels now no longer the counterpuncher. He's starting to come straight ahead on Summit.
He's not doing what he was told here, although he's being successful doing it with those quick hands.
I would imagine a couple more left hooks like that from Summit, and he may get back to his game plan of stick and move.
Body shot by Summit. That one was definitely above the belt. Summit is an awkward fighter to fight. He bends at the waist. He bends over. Carl's pivots are giving Curtis trouble.
They are. Nicely done.
Combination. About 10-punch combination by Carl Daniels. Not hard punches, but they certainly got there.
You know, you kind of wonder also, Curtis Summit now priding himself as being one of the popular fighters fighting here in Paris, when this crowd will suddenly start giving him that needed adrenaline that he might have. You can see that Daniels has done what he needs to do to make this a very, very competitive fight. And now the Summit dig deep in the crowd behind him to do something against Daniels.
I think we're getting what we expected here.
You see the time, 25 seconds to go in round 5. Will be
Carl's
at the midway
cut over
point.
the eye, I believe.
And you know, I'm not so sure that might not have been caused by just a light clash of heads early in the round.
Good combination by Summit there.
Summit bleeding from the nostril just a bit.
Those uppercuts.
You see Daniels, he's busy at the end of round 5. They call it the Winter Circus. It's in Paris, France, and it's tonight of World Championship Boxing, brought to you by Cedric Kushner Production. Sam Smith along with Bob Spagnola, and we are now in the 6th round of this scheduled 10-rounder. As these two fighters have been toe-to-toe virtually the start and now moving into the 6th round. Daniels from St. Louis, Missouri, now training in Fort Worth in the white. Curtis Summit from Joliet, Illinois, and he is now training here in Paris. He's in the red.
This is a tough fight for Carl to come back off of the Norris fight, but if you're going to be world class, this is the kind of fighter you have to be able to beat.
There was a little bit of disappointment in the talk of Carl Daniels. His mentor, if you will, Donald Curry, had some flight problems in coming out of Fort Worth and eventually out of St. Louis, and was unable to make it to Paris for this fight. And you could almost see a little bit of a letdown by Carl Daniels, and that's where a guy like Paul Reyes and certainly Malcolm Garrett really got behind Carl Daniels and just kept kind of pumping him up all day and said, yes, the Cobra's not here with you, but we are, and we're behind you, and we'll do everything we need to do. And it's kind of lifted his spirits, I know.
Yeah, like I said, Carl's an awful tough kid, and regardless of who's in his corner, he's going to be out there fighting. But fighters are, you know, they're very delicate ecosystems, and when something doesn't happen that they're expecting, good combination by Daniels.
Aren't we all? Daniels again staying busy. Credit to his conditioning. He is training better because in the 6th he's still doing work and doing it well. Combinations up the middle. Good combinations by Daniels. Boy, Summit's taking a lot of beating here in this 6th round.
Carl Daniels is really putting on a clinic here with these quick hands. Nicknamed Squirrel by his friends back in St. Louis.
They say it about a block away, though, don't they? The international boxing referee, Alan Rothenberg, who referees the championship fight here tonight in Paris, saw Carl Daniels with a Boston Celtic hat on, and Alan has got to be one of the huge Celtic fans, and he was ready for a long, non-stop conversation on the Boston Celtics, and Carl said, nope, somebody just gave me the hat. End of that conversation, much to the chagrin of Alan Rothenberg.
Against his trainer's wishes, Carl has made this a fight, and now it seems like he's kind of beating Curtis Summit at his own game. And that's no easy task. Curtis seems a little disappointed the way things are going here.
Has to be. He's taking punishment galore. This 6th round is top heavy. You know, this is very close as the bell sounds to end in the white. In the red is Curtis Summit. And again, Daniels again dominating round number 6, though.
He's really, Carl's kind of a confrontational kid. He's in there arguing with his corner. He's in there fighting Curtis Summit. But when it comes time to take care of business, he really...
Let me be the last to start any kind of a controversy over the use of the SDI gloves here in Paris. But certainly I'm sure somewhere along the way Carl Daniels has probably not fought in these gloves that many times, if at all. So I don't know that for a fact. And he is complaining about his hands right now. So there could be something of contestable thoughts on the use of the gloves. Is a slip. Referee wisely acknowledging as such.
As Paul Reyes told his son, it's all part of the game. This is a business of pain, there's no doubt about it. But Carl's really taking Curtis Summit out of his fight. I bet Curtis wishes he knew the way Carl was complaining in between rounds. Carl is being a little economical with his punches. Yeah. But when he lets them go, pain or not, he will let him go.
Well, he actually is coasting a little in this 7th. He had such a magnificent 6th round. The only hope that as strong as it was, and I'm not pulling against Curtis Summit, as strong as Daniel's 6th round was, that he doesn't let a round, the next one, get totally away from him.
Well, Summit's having a good round here, landing some good clean body shots.
Yes, he is. He's coming back. You know, Paul Reyes said, Sam, if you'll please say hello to my sons, Paul Jr. and Vincent, both training amateur fighters in Fort Worth. As a matter of fact, both of them had some very good fighters.
Daniel's noticeably hurt from those body shots. He's grimacing.
And his legs are starting to get a little wobbly again. Azim stopped him from trying to work in there. But again, he's back into that brawling, digging those shots to the body. I tell you what, both these fighters still have some sting, and there's that blow that about the 4th time has gone low twice in the 1st round.
At some point in time, the referee's going to have to take a point from Curtis Summit.
There's another one that could have very easily been sliding south of the border. Curtis winding up with that looping hook. There's another one. They're right on the belt strap. There's the bell to end the 7th, and another non-stop round for Carl Daniels, despite a low blow. So a very active corner for Curtis Summit. Carl Daniels up, and we're ready to go.
But they're touching gloves as if this is the last round of the fight.
Scheduled for 10.
Scheduled for 10 rounds.
I hope both corners are cognizant of that fact. Again, Curtis Summit came out and threw a left hook that again was quite visibly low. Daniels, there's another one that is digging low.
I believe both fighters think that this is the last round of the fight.
I do too, with a touching of gloves.
There, Carl reciprocated with a blow there to Curtis Summit that time.
Now a warning to keep the head up for Summit, a warning for holding on Carl Daniels. Referee here in this case has gone through his rule book now. Again, we are mystified because the fight is set for 10 rounds and both fighters came out. Maybe it's a show of sportsmanship, I guess. Touch gloves as if to say, this is it, guys.
No, they told Summit in between rounds that he had to knock him out and this is the last round. So both corners confused.
Again, we are rechecking our facts here. It is set for 10. There's no doubt about the information we've been given. So we'll wait and see what happens at the end of this 8th round.
It can really have an effect on a fighter when he lets it all hang out.
Oh, they could punch themselves. Both of them could punch themselves out in this round. Now a warning to Daniels for a clash of heads. You know, even the crowd is caught up in it. They too think this is the final round, despite what they have been informed of.
This Carl Daniels certainly has the heart of a fighter.
Oh. What a show from Paris tonight. These two junior middleweights are putting on.
I think anybody will be disappointed.
Carl Daniels again continues to be the pursuer. Paul Reyes, his trainer, said he counterpunched too much. He may have seen a totally different Carl Daniels tonight, that's for sure.
Oh, nice combination by Daniels.
Mentally, with 25 seconds to go in only the 8th round. What are these fighters thinking? Is this the last round in their minds? It's scheduled for 10. And look at Daniels. He's trying to finish it here in this round. There's a push. No knockdown.
Summit seems exhausted.
Referee wasting a little time. Daniels back in on top of him. Bell sounds to end the 8th round. And look, they both believe it's over. They apparently had shortened this fight to 8 rounds and did not inform us of that. It was scheduled for 10 and they cut it to 8 because of the timing of the fight. That is unfortunate we were not given that information. We will apologize for not being able to give you an accurate account that that was the last round, but again, we assumed as much. They did have to shorten the fight because of the timing for their French television as we fought through only 8 rounds here tonight.
The crowd very appreciative of these two young fighters.
And they should be. Look at this non-stop action. Up the middle all night by Carl Daniels. Now, where does the home cooking go? Does Curtis Summit, who trains in Paris, get the lean? Or does the American, obviously Curtis is one as well, but Carl Daniels coming from St. Louis, a la Fort Worth, does he get the nod here on the home turf of Curtis Summit? Win, lose, or draw, both fighters, again, highly creditable for their effort here tonight.
Well, I've got Carl winning the fight by 3 rounds, but it was a very tough fight. Curtis seems disappointed. I think he knows that.
Well, here it is. Both fighters will come to the center of the ring. Daniels is the winner. Daniels the winner. Gets the victory. Moves his record to 27-1, and I guess he did it the old-fashioned way, Bob Spagnola. He earned the victory tonight in Paris.
He certainly did. He certainly did. You take nothing from Curtis Summit. He's a great competitor.
So again, as both fighters who were informed by their corners that the 8th would be their final, unlike what we were informed on 10 rounds, it goes to 8 rounds, and Carl Daniels will finally get those sore knuckles out from under the tape, and he'll have a happy moment as he flies back to the States getting a victory after losing to Terry Norris in his last fight. He goes to 27-1. This is ready for a couple of junior welterweights. We are set on the card anyway to go 10. They have had the opportunity of cutting a couple of fights early on, so we'll have to kind of wait and see after the deductions are made. Khalib Raoul will be the one that will be coming out of the blue corner, while Roland Leclerc will be coming out of the red corner. Both these gentlemen hailing from France, both fighting out of Paris. Raoul is a former world champion kickboxer.